writer byline in the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, and, well, from my point of view, the much-missed Focus magazine. And starting next week, you're going to read excerpts from her new novel, The Uncrowned Queen of Magnetic Springs, in Catamaran Literary Review. Our guest, author and writer, Barbara Tannenbaum. Welcome.
Hi, David. Thank you.
Do you miss Focus, too?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It was connected with PBS. It had such a literary quality to it.
And what was your job with Focus?
I was a senior editor there.
Yeah.
So we had this marvelous ability to use as a jumping off point any aspect of California as a whole, California culture, California literature. But a lot of great writers as well who passed through those pages.
Now, it's been a while since we've met. I think it's easily 20 years probably. And as I recall, I first saw your byline. And now to see you delving into fiction, it's very exciting for those of us who love your writing. What is it like for you to make the jump into fiction?
Oh, it's so satisfying. But I have to say, you use the word delve. And delve implies someone just wandering into a shallow pool. This project, of course, is a project of my heart. It has a very, very long ago origin. Really, when people ask how long has it taken you to write it, sometimes I think, well, my entire life, or you know, like an economist reassessing someone's currency. No, I've really only been working on this version of it for a couple of years.
Right.
So delving versus
diving deep and living.
There you go. I like that.
So now, I was reading your notes, and of course, I've spoken to you about your novel. I know it's absolutely a labor of love and very important to your heart, along with your wife, Leah.
Oh, yes.
The Uncrowned Queen of Magnetic Springs.
Yes.
What was the impetus for this character? And then the next question is, what's the connection to My Three Sons?
All right. Well, the Uncrowned Queen of Magnetic Springs, and let me just back up a second, all right, and just say that it is the story, it's set in Los Angeles. It spans from 1930s to 1970s, and it follows one character, Renee Coleman, home from college on at a summer job at the Hollywood Bowl. And at the Hollywood Bowl, she uncovers a lot of family secrets about her mother's aborted career as a jazz pianist. So the narrative is going to follow Renee as she really crosses these boundaries of desire in order to find love, to find romance, to find her agency, and to really heal the losses in her mother's life, and therefore be able to go on her own, you know, journey into adulthood. So you ask, who is the uncrowned queen? Well, it has to be the mother. Although, as you're reading the book, there are a couple other people it might well be. So my mother is really, I think, quite representative of a lot of the mothers of the baby boom generation.
Your mother or the mother in the book?
No, I'm going to go back to my real mother. Yeah. All right, my real mother, she was not a jazz pianist. She did not have a career. And she said something very interesting to me as a child. I brought this with me. I have a prop. It's an old Wallace button. It's an old campaign button from 1948. Remember, that's a campaign where everyone went to bed and thought either Thomas Dewey was going to win, and if you were progressive, you thought that Henry Wallace, the vice president under FDR, that he was going to really shake things up. But no one expected Truman
to win.
Right.
That famous headline.
He does.
Dewey wins, but no, Truman did.
So my mother, who instilled a real love of politics, she gave me her campaign button from when she must have been in her 20s, 1948. She said, I was one of those people who worked the whole year for Wallace. And I went to bed thinking I was going to vote for him and vote for a new world, a different world. And when I woke up, I just voted for Truman. And then of course, when I look back on her life, she didn't enter that world she wanted to be in. So keep that in mind, you know. So that's her story that doesn't really take off in real life. And although she had a really loving family, but as a career, that was very important to that generation. I really did work at the Hollywood Bowl in a summer job, and I met a number of people. It was like a whole parade of gay and lesbian folks who were just coming out. It was 1978.
A very different time.
Very different time, and it's before Reagan. And really, who do we have at that time as role models? And the the academic among us could say, well, there was this one, there was the Ritz, there was Cabaret, there was this, but really people were not out. It was a very separated world. And I met a very interesting woman named Gina Pacerni, and at the end, and I too was looking for romance.
And that's the real person's name, not the character.
That is a real person's name. And I found out at the very end of that experience that she had been on this TV show as a young kid actress playing, you know, gender bending on My Three Sons.
Yes, and I have actually seen the episode. It was from season 8, I believe. Yes. It was called Chameleon.
Yes.
And we would call it now, I mean, pardon me for saying this, it would be like, that's a baby dyke.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, she was the next door neighbor, and didn't one of the characters even not know she was a girl?
Exactly. She portrayed herself as Mike, and when to get out of trouble, she said, no, 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 I'm a girl, I'm Michelle. And then she's rejected, and all this stuff. And to realize here, and I had seen that episode, and I had realized, you know, one day I've got to write about this, because this was from an era, this is the only gay person, lesbian person I had ever really seen. I mean, there's Paul Lynde on the Hollywood Squares, to go back, you know?
Yes, oh, I remember coming home from Catholic school when I was a little boy and watching Paul Lynde on the Hollywood Squares with my grandmother, and my grandmother thought his jokes were really funny, and I would just look at him and go, I didn't have the word gay then, but I was like, there's something about him I like and also scares me to death.
Exactly.
Because what if I'm like that?
Exactly. So I was quite drawn to her even then, because here was a very visible model. And you also asked the question, so what is the difference between journalism and fiction? Sometimes I think fiction is you collect things over time, and you sort of put it in your bag, and you just sort of collect it, and you have to consider not what happened, but what it means. What does it mean, and why is it important to you? And I just knew after that summer at the Bowl that I was definitely going to write about this someday. Right. But it wasn't until much later, it wasn't until my mother passed away, that I realized there is a way that these stories connect. Right.
So how much of you is in that fictional character that worked at the Hollywood Bowl, and how much of your mother is in this woman with the failed career?
Well, I have to answer that by saying that one of the keys for me to really dive into this was I finally read Philip Roth said, I am not interested in the biographical. I am interested in the counter-biographical. And that was a very freeing statement. So that said, none of, you know, aside from these points that are jumping off points, it is not autobiographical, because Magnetic Springs is a very deep image to me. It is a historical, it's the original name of West Hollywood. I bet you didn't know that. And it is also speaks to the desire that takes you past obstacles, that brings you towards that object of desire, what you want, what you need. But I will say one thing, my wife, when she was reading an early draft, she goes, oh, I can't believe the character is doing this. This is terrible that you have her doing this. Right. And I was just mortified. I was like, how can you not like that? Right. You know, that is me.
Right.
But it's not.
Now, in our last couple minutes, talk to me about that real character, that woman. What influence did she have on your life, this woman you met at the Hollywood Bowl who had played this gender-bending character back in the 60s?
Oh, she just started me on a path. And we had marvelous fun. I'm still friends with her.
Has she read the book?
No, she hasn't read the book.
Does she know that she is central to its plot?
Well, you'll have to read the book to see whether or not she as a real person is central to this plot. But not that many people have read the book in its entirety.
But next week, we're all going to be able to read a segment of it. It's the first excerpt is going to be published in
Catamaran Literary Review. It will be on sale next week. It is a literary quarterly. It's out of Santa Cruz. They publish. We're going to have a number of readings. We're going to be speaking, reading excerpts in Santa Cruz at Los Angeles Book Festival. But it's available on newsstands, and if you can't find it, it is available online. You can order it online.
Right. We've only got a few moments left. Talk to me about your favorite part of the book.
Oh, my.
What is your favorite section? Do you have one?
No, that's like saying which child
do you like the best?
But I will say that one of the things I like is the excerpt that's going to be in Catamaran, because it opens at the Hollywood Bowl in the 1930s, and it's where the character who's the mother is a young woman. None of this ever happened, of course, in life. But it's where she's going with her family to hear the concert by Lily Pons, a French singer who had the largest audience ever, that even when the Beatles
the
played.
Hollywood Bowl.
Yes, because they simply don't allow that many seats anymore. People were on the hillside. So she goes and she hears this concert, and you can read more in Catamaran. I
will look for it next week. We've been speaking to Barbara Tannenbaum, author of the new book, The Uncrowned Queen of Magnetic Springs. I'm David Perry. You've been watching 10%.